Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Okay. The title. Hear me out. Obviously, you need to have a clicky title, but this is not really clickbait. I actually believe that this could be the best patch that we've had yet. And if they continue this trend, 3.18 will be the best patch, and 3.19, and it will continue to get better and better and better. Starting with 3.15 and moving on to 3.16 and now 17, it's incrementally, the patches have gotten better and better and better. Okay? That's what I think. And I just want us to look past one thing. The absolute garbage instability of 3.17. It's horrible. If that is the only thing that you care about in a PTU of an alpha, then this is the worst patch ever. But if you look at the features that are coming in and the improvements to the game, I'm looking at chat just absolutely destroying me right now, I think it's really good. So I think refueling is really interesting, and I found a outlet to use it, like actually find use for it in the game with our mining operations for our mining org, 30K Inc. I think the quantum thing aspects of it are really interesting, and when we're not on a PTU with 15 million in all of our accounts, I want to really see what happens there. We just played Star Marine. That was actually fun. Desync improvements for ship-to-ship combat. I guess with Star Marine, the recoil improvements, things like that. Looting, selling, the ATC, there's so many improvements to the game that have actually been kind of fun. Now, here's the deal. I'm not saying 3.17 is the patch, is the time to come and start playing Star Citizen like it's an actual game. This game is still horrible. It's terrible. You can barely even call it a game. Okay? But is this the best patch we've had yet? And are they making the way for the points where we can actually play a game? It feels that way to me. Okay? It feels that way to me. So is this the best patch we've ever had? I think it could be if they nail down their stability problems. Okay? If they nail down their stability problems, I think it will be better than 3.15, 3.16, and so on, right? Because I thought those were the best patches that we've had. And I think it just keeps improving. And again, I've said this on my shows before, I'm really not excited for the game now. But these patches get me excited for the game in the future. And that's where I stand on 3.17. This is Answer the Call, though. And this is a show where members from the community, my community, the Star Citizen overall community, can call in and share their thoughts on the specific topic. If you guys ever want to join the show, it's the best place to go to is twitch.tv/SaltEMike, Sunday mornings. It's 8:33 a.m. We're starting a little bit early. Next week's show is going to start at 9, but we typically start at 10. And yeah, we talk about whatever topics in our Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike. So that's where we do it. Or obviously, you can watch it on YouTube later in the day after the podcast comes out on Twitch. So, all right, our first caller is Jab Loca. He doesn't have a lot of time, so let's get him in here and hear what he has to say. Jab, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up? I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. So, am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. Or a little.
Yeah, I might be a little bit.
But I'm hopeful as well. Because the biggest thing for me is Quanta. First tangible thing this patch with Quanta. Refueling, repairing, rearming.
Yeah.
And you bought like for 1,000 AUC per SCU fuel like a few days ago.
Yep.
In the Starfarer, and then when you were in orbit, it was about 2,000 UC.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's at that specific station or if it's an overall global thing. But yeah, there was a lot of people. We were at Everus Harbor above Hurston, where Hurston has the new cloud, so people, I think, wanted to probably spawn there. And yeah, the pricing was... It went up by 900 credits per unit in 2 minutes.
Yeah, and I was worried about that the most.
Me too,
because
actually.
I kept thinking, how are you going to make a profit with refueling? Like, why would you refuel, and why would you refuel at the station compared to like a Starfare, for example?
Yeah.
Now I see like a way, okay, now I can make like a profit with 1,000 UEC, like in a minute or 2 minutes. And that's 100% profit. That's crazy.
Yeah, but at the beginning when I said I'm really interested to see what happens with the quanta aspects of fuel, specifically because we have the refueling, is the problem with the PTU is everybody has 15 million and just filled all their tanks. Is everybody going to do that in live? I don't think they can afford to. So are they going to fill one tank? You know, what's going to happen there? I'm interested to see that. I think the data is very skewed in the PTU because of it being the PTU, though. Is there potential for profit? That's the part where I'm not sure. It's just easier to go to a station and refuel.
Because we also haven't tested, like, okay, what if you blow up every ship that comes in, for example?
Yes.
Does it change anything or whatever? Quanta testing needs to be done, for sure. And the refueling mechanic itself is a lot more fun than I had expected. Like, it's more intuitive, and you actually have to pay a little bit of attention when you refuel, and I really like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for us, we have our mining ships that we want to keep on the planet only mining. We never want them to leave. We want them constantly searching for ore, constantly mining, and then somebody else scoops up the ore and brings it to the refinery while they do that. So everybody has a job, and those guys had, I think, 30% fuel at the end of 2 hours. So I think our ops would normally go like 3 or 4. So I see the use case for it for us, but we wouldn't be making a profit on that. That would just be... So the miners of our org don't have to pay for fuel, essentially. That's the only use case I saw it for now, but I don't know. It definitely seems like it's gearing up for Pyro, where profit possibly could be made, or you're just gonna get killed, or they're gonna take it from you, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm also pretty happy with the selling of stuff. It actually also changes in this shopping menu.
Yep.
Like if you buy a lot of that stock in the shop, it changes the price, and when you sell it also changes the price. So that's a little bit more intuitive than I thought, because most games have like static prices. So
yeah,
pretty good thing.
Sure.
And yeah, the desync stuff in Arena, well, at least what you can see in Arena Commander, is pretty crazy. It's like night and day.
Okay.
It's also not really stuttering a lot, so that's also pretty good.
Yeah, they warned us that the stick might be jittery, and it isn't very jittery, is it?
No, not at all. Like a little bit sometimes, but it's a lot better. But yeah, we need to see in the PU if it's any different.
True, because it likely would be with the servers running it there. Yeah. So
I also need to see, there's a lot of things I need to see, because I will just wait for OpenPTU.
Well, that's the thing, though, about the patch, right? There's still a lot of things we need to see, because you can't see them because the patch is so unstable and has so many issues on top of it. So a lot of this is like what we think it might be like, and we're not 100% sure, you know?
Exactly. We're not sure, and especially a lot with the RC mining stuff, because scanning is back and they fixed the extraction of the gems.
Did they fix the extraction too? Okay, that was the one question I had yesterday, was we knew that scanning was better, but I didn't know if they fixed the extraction of the gems. They did.
Yeah, they did. It was in the patch notes. I've not seen it work like on the patch itself.
Okay, guys.
But it's in the patch notes.
It's confirmed. 3.17 is the best patch ever. So sorry, I don't know if you guys. Yeah, I the most fun I've ever had playing Star Citizen to date is ROC mining, and it just works well because it works with a lot of different ships, and it feels like it's the least gated gameplay where a lot of different types of people can be involved, and it was just so fun. It was more you were in FPS, you were getting in and out of your ship. It was just, I enjoyed it so much.
Exactly, and with the like at least the Starfarer, the ugly duckling of all the ships at the moment, at least in the interior, finally has a purpose, and that really makes me happy because you can ROC mine it with it now, and also review like other Cutlass ships that are using a regular ROC. And they also removed a lot of fuel scoops from ships. I think so.
All the fighters, right?
All the fighters, and also nerfed like the fuel scope on some other ships. I'm not sure what the fuel consumption is going to be on the Cutlass. Okay. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
For sure. We were doing our mining in 316. I'm excited to see what 317 looks like, how long the ships are going to be able to be out there without needing a refuel. But I still believe that it's just quicker to go to a station, at least for hydrogen fuel. And especially, I don't think that this is a thing that needs to happen now. I think we talked about this on last week's, or 2 weeks ago, the ATC, when we were talking about the potential of 317, like what's it all about, is the landing pads on the moons, like at the different outposts, being a spot where you can refuel, rearm, and repair. I always thought was like a little bit weird if you're like refueling, rearming, and repairing at a mining outpost. It just is like makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're gonna have to get rid of those things, but they can't do it yet because where are players with crime stats going to be able to do this? I mean, personally, I feel like if you have a crime stat, you have a crime stat, and it is what it is. Like, if you're above a 3, like, you shouldn't be able to do it anywhere in the area. I think you have a bad enough reputation where people shouldn't allow you to land, but that is probably a little bit too
bit too extreme for now.
Yeah, too extreme for the moment. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it's needed for Pyro anyway, because where the hell are you gonna like rearm and refuel there? Like, exactly. There's only one station and maybe some outposts there, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, other things. The EM missiles are pretty interesting. Those
I just heard about
missiles.
These yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like now you can actually disable a ship like at high range if you use them all at once, at least.
And it's a little bit more difficult, I hear, to flare them off, because it was quite easy before. Missiles didn't feel like much of a threat, and they're now affected by atmosphere. So missiles fly slower in atmosphere. So, the days of the Eclipse coming in and firing a missile that's very difficult to shoot down may be over. You may be able to shoot down those torpedoes as they're coming in a little bit easier. Just levels on levels on levels of these tiny little improvements that keep stacking on top of each other to actually start to make what could be a kind of shitty experience instead of an incredibly horrible one. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's where like the marketing team, or at least I'm not sure what team is in charge of the roadmap, but those little things could have been in the roadmap update, or at least in the release view, because the coffee vendor and the missile rework, the other reworks that hasn't been in the patch notes and stuff, could have been in there. Like it's just as big of a like feature. So yeah. And they could have won a lot of people over, but oh well. Yeah,
I guess I'll ask you this, because yes, Fiderio75 in chat says it's good to be surprised too. I don't know if that's like I think they like and I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing, and maybe I'll leave you there with this one is like the exploring aspect of checking out the patch and what's new is also kind of enjoyable and finding out these little sneaky things, but at the same time in an alpha in the stage that the game is in now, I feel like they should just tell everybody, but everything, so you can see the change, see their intention. Did it work? Did it not? You could provide feedback on literally everything. Then I don't think these sneaky things are the best thing to do right now. Maybe when the patches are, the game is out and live, sneaky things. But I don't know. What do you think?
For reworks and rebalances, no, that shouldn't be a surprise because you need active feedback on that one.
Exactly, yeah.
But with like a surprise location or a surprise mission or anything like that, sure.
Yeah.
Like that's a surprise item. Because
you know their intention when you find them.
Yeah.
But balance stuff, I think we should always be told balance things. I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, and
surprises could be surprises, but certain things shouldn't be a surprise, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's almost all I think in this page. Oh yeah, mining gadgets, but who cares?
Yeah. They just missed the mark on that one, I think, but that's okay. I did my mining video. I think it did pretty well. I'm pretty proud of it. It got a lot of good feedback, got a little bit of hate, but I think that's just from the people who go, oh, you're negative Nancy, and the thumbnail was kind of negative. But the message I thought was pretty positive, and I don't know if it's going to get to them or they're going to see it, and if they do, if they're going to do anything about it in the near future. I don't really think they should. That was kind of the point of the video. I think mining is good to put on the shelf, but make sure that as new things come in, that mining improves it. Cargo Refactor is massively important to everybody in this game, and I don't think it should be brought in even a tier 0 state until it's improving piracy, improving mining, and I hope one day improves missions, things like that.
Yeah, saddlebags need to come off with the cargo refactor. Same with the fuel pods on the Starfarer. And also like add quanta to some commodities as well with the cargo refactor, because static prices are not going to cut it.
And, well, they're, like, not quite static, but they are, and they're just, like, everything is so silly right now, so it'll be exciting when things are more physicalized, and... Yeah, for sure. But I guess we're kind of off topic there.
Exactly.
Now we're moving on to 318.
And this feels like a step to 318, really. Like a big step.
Big step. And it also feels like they listened to the feedback from 315/316.
Yeah, and this gives me hope for the cargo refactor. Like, it can change some things, but we shall see. And I'm hopeful for this patch. I think.
For sure.
A conclusion.
And even in the guise of 317, I feel like 318 is probably going to be very much like 315, where it was like, okay, I see what you're trying to do, but there's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of changes, and there's going to be a lot of things that need work. And then, like, 319 or whatever comes after is going to be the 317 patch. So
Isn't 319 the CitizenCon patch?
Sure.
So we're probably not going to see a lot.
Yeah, it's the one after that. And maybe we see Pyro in that one. I don't know. But yeah. Again, super duper off topic now.
We shall see. But I'm hopeful, and I'm gonna buy a new PC at the end of the month, and hopefully it's in live. Probably at live then.
Nice. So, what kind of PC?
Yeah.
What processor, since that's the most important?
5800.
5800X? That should be good. Yeah.
No, not the X, just a regular. And
whatever. Same thing. You're not
same thing.
You're not overclocking, and that you don't really need to, I don't think.
And a 3070, so I should get some frames with the clouds on medium.
You'll be fine. I think you'll be fine for sure.
Yeah. But thanks for talking, and see you guys later.
All right, Jab. See you later, buddy. All right, so our next caller is Johnny Morgan. Johnny patiently waited. He was first in the queue, and Jab had to go, so pretty early. So Johnny was kind to let him go first. Johnny?
Hey, can you hear me there, Mikey?
Oh, I hear you, yeah. Am I crazy,
Awesome.
Johnny?
No, 100%. I'm with you. I think 317 is going to be one of the best patches, and I'm going to bring up one of the reasons why you've touched base on a little bit, and it's that feedback. But so there's two things I want to point out with the feedback on this last one. One, the last time we talked, remember how we talked about they should dump the SDLC, like stop showing us the software development life cycle. We don't care.
Yeah.
No one cares. Like narrow it down. Then they did that. I'm not saying that we had an influence on it, but it was nice and potentially we did, right? And I'm glad that they shortened up their roadmap. The other one was that interview I ran with Cutlet and Katie after Jumptown. Winter came into the Skunks, Discord and let us know that it actually did influence their design decisions, right? It wasn't the reason, but that feedback, which wasn't designed for them specifically, was actually for the community at large to say, hey, look at these two different type of play styles. That dynamic event brought us together and we had a really great, enjoyable time. And I have been, I have been having.
Johnny, hold on 1 second. Give a little bit of context, because just assume that nobody knows who Winter is and nobody knows what that situation was. So give a little context there.
Yeah, so I joined up in Skunkworks a while back now. I was looking for more team-based play, and I've really enjoyed it in there. Cutlet, I'm a huge fan of, and I've been watching
from YouTube. That's her Oregon game, correct?
Yeah, Citizen Katie now, right?
Yeah.
And that's Skunksworks is her organization. She's a narrative player, and that's what really attracted to me. I'll touch base on that a little bit too. Then Cutlet is also this immersion player, right? And I've been a huge fan of him. He does like legitimate piracy, right? He's one of the hardest working pirates in the game because he doesn't cheese out, right? He really tries to do an immersive experience. Always loved him. Same with Chaos and Mongrel, right? I love him for that.
Yep.
And then I've always wanted to meet Cutlet in game. Like, so I avoid trying to meet the streamers and like the people I really respect and stuff by going to see them. Like, I want just that natural organic interaction. It happened through the Skunks. Katie was playing. They bumped into Cutlet. We jumped in and we filmed it and all that stuff. And then it was this like, we caught them at the tail end of it. I think it was about 2-hour battle though, but it was just amazing, right? Because we were both immersing ourselves into it on team base. Kowalski and his team on Cutlet's team are amazing. I really hope Kowalski's doing okay too. And then we had a conversation. I put the conversation together because this is something I'm kind of big on, right? Like I think CIG's doing a really good job in their direction of giving us touch points, and the development of that has been going very well, for my opinion, that are really appropriate for us. And when they do, and we lean into it, we have this great experience. So from that feedback, we talked about ground vehicles a lot. And now they're changing the signatures on it, and they're going to make them useful in these type of scenarios. So the next Jumptown, whatever that is, right? May not be Jumptown, but whatever dynamic PvP event that we have, and that has a ground element, we're going to see another dynamic with it. So that's been really nice. Like, I think that was incredible. It locked me in. Winter, you're a son of a bitch that way. Like, totally locked me in. Dev coming in to give you that type of feedback, and it was just amazing to see. And alternatively to speak on that for this patch, I'm seeing them get better and better. They're delivering better. Their velocity is getting better. Like, sure, this one's unstable, but it's PTU. Who gives a crap, right? Like, it should be unstable there.
It shouldn't be this unstable.
Get mad about.
Yeah, like I think when you get to wave 1, it should really be a feedback thing, but they clearly went to wave 1 because they're trying to solve the instability that they couldn't. And
and their process internally is getting better and tackling that down, I think.
Yeah, let's hope. So we'll see. It seems that it got worse the next patch, but that happens sometimes too. Like, we've been here, we've done this. Like, I feel like sometimes, and this is definitely something I've done, not on purpose, but it's something that's happened through my actions, is a lot of people in my community will harp on that and get obsessed with it. And yeah, dude, it is terrible. And this game is not good yet. It can be fun. It has its moments, but it's not a good game yet. It's not even close. We're so far away from the game that we expect. Nobody's denying that. But it's the idea of, you expect the things and the issues that you're dealing with in 317 now to get better. We don't know how much better. But we saw 315 and we saw 316, and you see that it's possible. I never saw it was possible until 315 and 316. Now we know it is. It makes it a little bit easier to deal with for me, where I can just go, okay, I don't want to play the PTU right now. and I don't feel I have to, because I know that it could get better, and I'm just going to wait until it does.
Me too.
And
I just jumped on for a second to take a look at stuff.
I just wanted to look at the whole A, so I went into Arena Commander and looked at it. That was it.
I just wanted to test if VoIP was working, and it was.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's all I care about really at times. For me, it's been the team play side of stuff too. So like what you're talking about with the Starfarer, that just leans into more team play. That's what makes the game interesting for me, because I'm with you on that. Just logging in by myself, even in the PU, right? And engaging in the same gameplay loops I've done for the last 2.5 years. It's not motivating. Like I didn't even bother going checking out the Rex yet. I've still been meaning to. And now that they've changed loot up and there's a reason to go to the Rex because I'm going to actually sell that loot, which may be very valuable because I can't just buy it in a shop. Okay, yeah, 317, I'm going to be doing Rex. Like a bunch of us are going to go out and we're going to farm stuff and build up our inventories of shit that you can't buy in the stores anymore. So it gives us another reason to play. Yeah. It's the team-based stuff though. Like we did 3v3s last night. We had 6 teams out, right? And then we did a big 7v7 at the end of it. Like if you haven't done those big fights yet, guys, save them for 317 because the desync makes it a hell of a lot better. So again, you know, they're looking at the team aspect, and they're probably noting that a lot of people, the groups that stay interactive on their platform are groups, right? The single people churn out after a while because you run out of things to do.
Yeah.
But as a group, you can set up all these events and do these things like do PvP or do mining events. And mining events are super fun because it's more of a shoot the shit and hang out with your buds and drink beer type of event, right? I like mining events for that. And trading is a chill one too at times. And you can layer in some PvP if you want to, or it might just come knocking at your door and maybe then you step up your PvP game a little bit more. Anyway, I think they've done a fantastic job. I think 317 is going to be a great patch. I think we should give them the base to get stability, right? So let's not worry about that too much until it gets closer to getting into the PU. Wave 2, I'm hoping should be way more stable. Like I'm not touching the PTU right now. I don't have the
yeah. I mean, like we did with the first caller. It's the topic is a little tough because we're all kind of guessing that these things are fun and that they're good and that. But I just feel like I don't have I usually break everything that they put in the game down to the smallest minute thing and get upset about most of the things and think that they didn't do it very well. And this is one of the patches where I'm not doing that. It feels weird. That's why I'm am I crazy? Because I'm usually yo, mining, these guys don't have a clue what's going on, right? And I still
your video was good too, by the way. I really liked it. Really liked it.
Thanks. Yeah, I still kind of feel that way, but it took me a little while to realize that they keep coming up with the solution that they deal with, but the solutions to their problems are with other teams, not their own. And that was I kind of came to that and was they keep trying to fix mining by changing mining, and there was nothing wrong with it in the first place. It was just everything else that needed to be added to it from other teams.
That was great feedback too. I like the new format you did on that video too. It was really impressive. I liked it. It was step up your game a little bit. Dude,
good. Everybody's saying that this shit is so funny, right? So the only thing that I changed was I added music a little different from the same song that I add to Weekend Review, and I added a little title between each topic. That was the only thing.
Your presentation was different though.
No, it wasn't. So the whole thing was
your speech, your style of speech pattern was much more well thought out. You felt more professional, I guess is how it came off.
Okay.
You came off less as SaltEMike the Twitch guy and more as SaltEMike the brand talking about Star Citizen. So it felt much more professional. I really liked it. It was a real good stepping up your YouTube game.
That's different feedback
good.
then.
And
I thought it was because whenever I make a YouTube video, this is what I really like to do. A morphologist does this, and I think it's the best way of doing things. But I don't know how he does it, because I don't have the time. So I was going when I'm talking about the mole, I need to get me and a few of my friends in, and we need to get B-roll for the mole. We need to get video so we could show it on the screen. And then I went, this video's not going to come out if I try and do that, because I can't rely on other people to help me, because it's not really fair to ask them to help me for a video. And then I also, it's way more time consuming than going on the Star Citizen YouTube channel, Argo Mole. and then rip the video and put it in like literally every other YouTuber does. They all use Star Citizen content as the background theme to their videos. Why was I not? I don't know. And I feel like that's why everyone is like, oh my God, your presentation is so much better. The reason my presentation is so much better is because it's not my presentation. It's somebody else's. Right? And that's what I'm laughing about. Because so many people.
Your verbal. Because your verbal presentation
I was surprised when you said
actually
that.
better.
Yeah. I was surprised when you said that.
That was great, man.
Because I thought it was all about
like
the
you
visuals.
took the time to do a script. You thought about what you were talking about. You gave constructive feedback throughout it. You got, maybe some people saw a little bit of the negative there, and I could see their feedback on that. They're wrong. Because you were positive throughout the whole thing, and you gave constructive feedback. So they're just wrong. And they're just wrong if they don't think 3.17 is the best patch. There we go. Podcast over. Let's done. Move on, boys.
Done. I mean, specifically because the ROC is back, baby. I
didn't know. I love rock mining too. It was the best complete gameplay loop because you could take the boxes out so you could have someone else transport your stuff. It was the first taste of that like combined gameplay with all these different demographics and right, like the different gameplay slices or whatever you want to call them, professions, right? Like actually working together and someone taking my box and taking to the thing and selling it, and like I loved it. And you could stay out there almost indefinitely, right? Because you could take those boxes out. So I don't know if they fixed the boxes. Is that what they fixed?
No. I don't think so.
Okay, so they haven't fixed the inventory side of it yet.
No, because
I think all we need though is that cargo box to be able to do like the move all though, isn't it? Or stacking, whatever. Fuck, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I can't believe it, but I think if we're going to do any sort of ROC thing, I think I'm going to do it very similar to the way I do my mining stuff. Is we're gonna buy the Rock DS in game. I'm actually going to use the Rock DS because the ROC has 0.8 SCU of cargo. And the Rock DS has 3.5 SCU.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge in comparison. So scooping in all of those, you don't have to worry about your inventory as much. You just sell from there then. Because you can't drop the inventory. You can't turn it into a box anymore, right? That's like the biggest.
Yeah, well, they put those cargo boxes in now, though, right? So if they give us a transfer all and you're able to transfer from the Rock into one of those big cargo boxes and then move that with a tractor beam into a ship, that'd be really nice. I don't think so yet, because the inventory's not ready for it, but I assume that we'll get that ability to transfer between containers.
They just need to stack the gems. I'm sorry. They just need to stack the gems.
Oh, that too, 100%.
You don't need a move all if you just stack. Like, it's silly.
True. And they do need to stack again. That would be nice. But either way, back on topic, I do think they've come a long way as a company, and we're seeing that represent now in the development. They shortened down what type of feedback that they want to take from us. So we're seeing more of that getting implemented, right? It feels better. Instead of them asking us for feedback about stuff that they can't do anything on, they've tried to tighten it down and saying, hey, give us the stuff that's relevant. We're going to try to do something about it right away. Positional G-Sync, right? We're jumping on it. The vehicles, we're jumping on it. We're moving on the different weapon types and moving on that, right? So like missiles are now ballistic, laser, and EM. So the same thing as the other weapons. So we're starting to get that matrix kind of going of how they're going to balance it. Team-based gameplay is super fun right now. I'm hoping that they get more of that going. I would love to see some non-combat or more complicated or like two-step dynamic events. Even if they come back with Jump Town, right? Make another area where people can resource gather. And then those resources we gather are what goes into the hopper that then produce the drugs. So then you have a two-stage to it where you have one group getting your resources and potentially getting them stolen there, and then taking them to there and then having to hold it and put stuff in. And then there's that risk reward that we're looking for where, holy shit, we put all this time in. Now we want the money. Hold motherfucker.
We need to hold. Yeah. That's like the one thing that Jump Town I felt lacked was like, you didn't really like care if you held it because there was no buy-in.
The start of the funnel.
Yeah.
The start of the funnel was just like show up there and pull things out. The end of the funnel was great and really well developed, and you could steal and you could do all these different ways to, capture it from the other team that was there. I loved all the free labor. I apologize to everyone who provided free labor to me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, I'm gonna let you go, man. This is great. I love talking to you, Mike, and I love that you've continued to produce Star Citizen content. You and now TDL's back. I love that. Not going to touch on this one, but amazing part of 3.17 is TDL's back. But I love that you guys have stuck it through and continue to produce the content because there's not a lot of it right now for Star Citizen. It is dry. I feel for everyone who's trying to make it. You know, like it's just been hard. 316's been fun, but it's been hard for content.
Oh yeah,
So,
for
thanks,
sure.
man.
All right, man. No problem. Be good, Johnny. Thanks for your call. I always appreciate it.
Love it, bud. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Cheers. Our next caller is PandaBot.
Yo.
What up, dude? Yeah, you sound good. I think, Johnny's levels were like a little tough. I have a new audio system, so I apologize, guys, if levels are going to be a little off here and there. I have like tiny tweaks that I'll be doing over time, and it'll get back to the way it used to be. It's much easier to do now, so just keep providing feedback in Twitch on everybody's levels. Panda, before we start, I do have a little bit more time, so I'm just going to do a quick call out to people. If you guys want to be on the show, Panda's the second to last caller right now. I definitely have room, I think, for one, maybe two more. So if you guys want to pop in the show and you're here watching live on Twitch, you can go ahead into discord.gg/SaltEMike and then pop into the green room. There's a little green circle there, and then we'll bring you into the queue. So, if you're enjoying the show and want to take part in it, that's how you do it. So, Panda, you got the floor. Am I crazy? Is 317 the best patch? You're a PvPer. Most of the PvPers are usually like, this is garbage and all that stuff. But you did definitely get some things in your favor this time.
I'm not a pure PvPer, right? I like doing other stuff as well.
Sure.
But yeah, like for me, I wouldn't say it's the best patch of all time or something. It's just one of the patches where I actually feel like coming back. Because I haven't really played over the last two patches a lot, just like testing out the new stuff, but then not really playing at all, just because the stability, right? So, but we're not going to talk about stability. That's another topic. I just want to talk about the general things we got from the patch, right?
Sure.
With refueling, because we tested it together when it came out, right?
Yes.
I still think I'm not sure if gimmicky is the right word for it, but right now, because there's no way to really run out of fuel naturally in the game. I think that's the main problem with it, right?
Well, that's what I argue against, though, Panda. If we could stop there for a second, is when we tested, sure, but in 316, and I feel like they're going to dial it back and make it even worse, maybe slightly, is we were mining in our prospectors and we were running out of fuel. It was becoming a possibility of being a problem. And that's when I was like, this might be worth using.
But that's only because you kind of abuse the system where you don't have to land on the pad to drop off the mining materials, right? Otherwise, for normal people that do mining, they can just refuel when they drop off, right?
No, I'm not even talking about those three ships. So those three ships, I would never refuel. Those go on the pad and refuel yourselves because you're already there. Mm-hmm. Those are only three ships out of the, I guess in that group we had 7. So 4 other ones are mining on the moon, and they're not supposed to leave the moon.
Okay.
So they just prospect and mine. They prospect, they break the rock down to purple, and those 3 ships that are constantly going back and forth, sure, land on the pad and refuel. But the 4 ships that were staying there, they were down to like 30% fuel when we were getting close to ending. And it was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And then people in chat were like, what you could do is you could use a Starfarer, put ROCs in the Starfarer, and obviously nobody needs to refuel at the beginning. Those guys go and ROC mine somewhere, and then when it's time to refuel and you get called in, done. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. That's a use case for this. But it is a very niche use case. Very niche. And I think it's only because we pretend to have a mining operation and a mining org, right? Like there's so many levels here that go, it's not really a real thing, right? But it did excite me because of what we do and what we like to do.
I mean, I think like CIG's idea of it was like, okay, someone like runs out of fuel in space and now he needs to get refueled. That's why you have to type like in global chat, hello, I need refueling and stuff. And it's just with the ways how the game works right now, you have like indication of your fuel, and it will never randomly like you cannot lose fuel to damage or something, right? So you always know how much fuel you have, and you can always plan that, right? And even with quantum jumping, it literally tells you when you cannot reach. It says insufficient fuel or jump. So there's no way to accidentally or like mess up the planning or something, and that's why you don't have fuel anymore, right? It's almost impossible, and that's why it kind of the Sofer is more like a role play kind of ship where it can be useful in certain situations, but then you also have to think about the fuel cost of the Starfire itself, because that thing burns through fuel really, really fast, especially if you have any gravity, right? So then, is it worth the extra cost that you have to pay into fuel? Because the Starfire, it costs a lot to refuel, even the normal tank of that thing. So it's because hydrogen fuel is expensive as well. So is it worth spending that money where you can literally just fly your Prospector, jump it to a pad on the moon and refuel there? Right? It's like, that's the question. Right? But I think it's a cool system. I like the Starfire. Refueling is fun, even for a PvPer. I hope it's going to be useful for PvPers in the future but I think we need the Vulcan for that, right? As soon as they add like rearming and repairing, remove all the pads. I literally do not want to repair or refuel on pads. I think that's boring. I think the idea of actually having to plan
fake as well.
Yeah, but even like PvPers also like logistics, right? Logistics are fun. So we can have our logistics where we put our refueling stuff in certain positions that we can jump there and rearm and then go back and blow people up. Right? That's a fun part.
And that's what I like about, like, I don't consider myself a PvPer, but that's what I liked about PvPing was I was never the best at aiming. I was never the best at anything when it came to the actual fights. But what I enjoyed about it was having some part in the team, and if it was that kind of stuff, it was that kind of stuff.
I think a lot of people that are not into PvP but enjoy the PvP don't enjoy it because they like blowing people up. They like the actual interactions you get with it, right? And I think that's also a good reason why a lot of PvPers like PvP. It's one of the only few ways in Star Citizen we actually get interaction with other players. That's why I was so excited for medical gameplay, but that turned out like garbage. So, I mean, like the beacons and stuff where you help random people. I really wanted to do that. I wanted to like only do that for 30 days and see how much money I can make, but you cannot make any money with it. So, and no one uses it.
Yeah, it's not a good. The service beacon system just is. I don't know.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, and they're like, we need the service beacon system for refueling, and I'm like, is that it? I don't know what it is.
No, the refueling, even if we have beacons, there's just no one is going to use it because they won't run out of fuel. That's the main part of the refueling part.
I agree.
Right. I would like a good beacon system also for like other things like for combat, even though like the whole topic with all the escort stuff, that doesn't work either. Not because of the beacons, it's just escorts are bad ideas, but I don't want to get into that. But I was surprised that you tried Star Marine because I tried it 2 days ago, I think, on the first day of the patch. And I'm an FPS player, right? If I don't play Star Citizen, I like shooting people in other games, right? And I was surprised that when I aim at someone and I click my button, I actually hit the guy. That was like something I've never experienced in Star Marine before, except like maybe 2-3 years ago. When Star Marine first came out, it was actually not that bad. But the problem is, now that we don't have as much desync in Star Marine anymore, you can see all the other bad things about it, right? It's still super clunky.
Yes.
The movement in Star Citizen is so bad, and the only reason why we don't notice it in PU is because it's so bad in PU that we teleport around all the places, so it doesn't matter if the game is
getting
clunky.
Locked into animations with reloading and the constant like weird things with pulling guns in and out, and you have your med pen and it stays in your hand and you don't know. It is
my
so
med pens didn't
clunky.
work. I couldn't heal in Star Marine, and also I didn't have the problems with the animations because I didn't have any reload animations. They just didn't work for me. I just magically reloaded and it was perfect for me. I just picked R and I had all my bullets in.
Nice.
So, easy, fast reloads.
Hell yeah.
But since we're talking about the desync in general, I didn't do a lot of PvP yet just because it's so unstable and I didn't want to get into AC a lot. But it looks like positional desync is actually back to before, I think 3.10, all the positional stuff started, the desync. I think that's when they did some networking changes and then we had different kinds of desync, the really annoying desync, where most fights are literally just, you just shoot at the guy and you cannot fight for position because even if you're behind him, on his screen you're in front of him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it got worse and worse every single patch, but now we're back to actual positions, which is good. But now the hit drag is super bad. So even like if you're further out than 600 meters, don't even try shooting at the guy because your bullets won't hit. They won't do any damage. And then we have like a lot of other bugs, but it's just small bugs that are not a problem. But the problem is we have the other desync again, where because we're now 1-to-1 again, like basically true position, because there's no compensation anymore, the pip will be very erratic. Like
Yeah.
you won't really notice it when you fight against like this is not like normal players that are not very into PvP. You won't notice it that much. But
So
against someone who
pip
actually knows how
wiggling
to
could
move the
come
ship,
back, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yes and no. Just because
Yeah.
we have less accelerations and less boosts, it's going to be much less. But
Okay.
it has always been there, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a pro. I don't mind pip wiggling that much as long as you just like because a lot of people mislabel pip wiggling as just the pip moving, whereas pip
macro
wiggling.
too.
Macros never really work, to be honest.
That's
like,
what they say it is what I'm saying. It's like, oh my god, they're like in this negative way that they're macroing. But I remember when I first started getting into PvP, period, that was the focus, was like your main focus is to avoid getting hit. So like you're like slamming your joystick all over the place to try not to get hit.
Yeah, but the problem is that a lot of PvPers are very salty.
Sure.
When they die, they just look for excuses, right? And I think it's natural in competitive games to do that.
I think it's a natural human condition. I mean, I deal poker. I hear it's always my fault, guys. How is it my fault? When you made 90% of the decisions. You made 100% of the decisions. How is it my fault?
True, but that's why like pip wiggling always has like people call pip wiggling, which isn't really pip wiggling, right? They blame it like when it's literally just a pip moving, it's pip wiggling. But I didn't want to talk about it's just I think this patch, people that don't PvP will think that desync is much worse than before. Because the desync that we get now is more like the old teleporting kind of stuff. The more like where the pip moves in like erratic ways, especially for NPCs, right? So they're gonna be, oh man, this patch sucks. The desync is bad because they didn't even notice the positional desync before, right? That's the
I looked like an aiming god in previous patches.
I mean, everyone does. Aiming is the easiest part about the last patches.
No, but people made comments, like, I think Moist would always make comments about how good my aim was. And I was like, my aim was never good before. And
and then suddenly everyone is good at aim. Yeah,
I have a feeling that if I PvP in 317, I won't hit anything.
Oh, don't worry, no one can hit anything. Literally, even good players, their aim is all over the place. Especially because I think there's a bug. I think Yogi talked about it. There's a bug with ESP right now where like it's very weird and you have to change all your settings again. So it's basically like relearning a new game just because desync is gone. But I mean, I enjoy it. I think actual fighting for position is a fun thing now. I like it.
Okay. I mean, that's dogfighting, right?
Okay. I mean, it's literally I'm thinking if they fix the hit rate and if they fix the ESP until live, I will actually start playing again. That's my so it's a good patch. Right? Okay. But only for that.
Yeah,
but the other stuff is also good. I think looting, the changes they did, taking stuff out of the shops is such a good idea. Whoever did that at CIG, thank God. Yes. Now we have a reason to loot. I don't care about the selling part because I still think looting for the sake of selling doesn't work because you can literally just do bounties and make more money, right? But being able to like, because I really like the P6. It's my favorite gun in the game. And I don't think you can buy it in shops anymore. So now I have to go out and find myself a P6.
Nice.
So that's
and store not just one, but many.
I mean, I don't die, so.
Okay, dude. Okay. Listen, you're gonna die walking up a flight of stairs in the game, and
True.
You may not die to me, but you're gonna die to a flight of stairs. I guarantee it. Okay.
But I will just activate the medical beacon and will get saved by a good Samaritan, right? So, since it works, no. Oh, and one thing, the ground vehicles, I think they reduced the signature, right?
Yes.
To make them... I actually think ground vehicles should not have a pip at all. Because
the damn turrets don't.
True.
Right.
But the problem is turrets still have the auto-aim on them. So if you aim in the general direction, your hits will still curve into them, right?
Sure.
But I think ground vehicles, just... in real life, right? You could say like, oh, we have targeting systems, right? But the problem is, when we fly planes, we cannot hover above the vehicle and just shoot at it from the top, and the vehicle can actually damage the airplane. Yeah. Whereas in this case, we have like vehicles that cannot do anything against ships, and we have ships that are basically like UFOs like hovering around everything, just blasting everything. I think
I mean, the ballista is pretty powerful.
Yeah, but with the missiles, not with the guns, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, I want like a hurricane turret as a vehicle. That would maybe be actually good. Like I don't get the reason they want like they don't want big guns on vehicles, which doesn't make sense because you need big guns to even be viable against any ship. Otherwise, the ship is just like I don't think vehicles really have a chance against ships right now. And maybe having no pip would make and no auto aim, not even the small adjustments you get from aiming in the general direction. Just remove that completely, and I think vehicles would be in a better spot. And it would be much more difficult to shoot vehicles down from a ship. I think that would be a good change for that.
That's an interesting take. I don't know if I agree or disagree with it, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. I just want vehicles to not be free targets for ships.
Yeah, I mean,
right now to make them viable.
Yeah, it seems fair. There has to be a way to make you want to choose a vehicle, for sure.
Yeah, think about it this way, okay? Shooting a ship without a pip is very, very difficult, right?
Correct.
Like with the ship movement and stuff, shooting a vehicle without a pip isn't that difficult. Do you really need the aim compensation? Like where you need to aim? I don't think so.
I mean, listen, it depends on who you're talking to. Do I need it? Yes.
No, I don't think you would need it. No. I think it's. I don't think shooting down vehicles is that difficult. If it's like aiming your FPS gun, basically. It's not like you have to you don't have to predict the movement of the vehicle that much. That's the main thing I'm trying to say, right? That's why it's much easier to shoot at vehicles.
The problem is I am unable to predict the movement of my ship, so that's why it's hard to aim.
True. But you can just hover, right? Because you're in a spaceship.
Yeah.
But it would at least give some, because in DCS, for example, because I got into DCS recently again, and CAS, I think it's called, right? The Combat Air Support something where you shoot from a plane at ground targets is such a fun thing to do in the game. But in Star Citizen, it's not, because it's just way too easy to even do it. So I would like some challenge in it, right? Okay. And even if you think, it's going to be difficult for the average player, but challenge is good for everyone, right? If I have a challenge and everyone has a challenge, I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that some guy that is new at the game just deletes everything on the ground just because he can hover and has an auto aim reticle.
Yeah, because that ruins the experience for everybody else, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't think it's fair to balance the game around new players only. I think that's always silly.
Yeah, it's also not fair to balance it around only sweating tryhards, you know. But it should be a mix of both, I think.
I agree.
I think the last thing is Quantum they added. I think Quantum is super exciting. Like it's actually, but not for traders. I think about a piracy way right now, because the whole logistics thing. I told you I like logistics about the combat part. So now, if I want to find the good routes, I have to actually monitor the prices. Right, same as traders have to monitor the prices to find the best route to find something if Quantum actually works, because supply and demand and everything. Now I have to do the same thing as a pirate, so I have to plan everything. I need to know how trading works. And then if I get the hit, I'm like, I found the good route. I found like the gold vein of the trade routes, and now I can hit this. That's the kind of thing, you know, like planning everything. I think that could be very fun for pirates, because right now I go to any how's it called, the refining stations, just camp in front of it with a thing and pull out moles and prospectors. Right, that's what piracy is basically right now, because trading is not profitable to pirate at all.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of part of it. They had to figure out. I think it's way more ArcCorp L1 than it is any other station. You know, if you want to find miners, that's where you go.
I mean, I wouldn't know because I currently don't pirate. I don't play the game.
Yeah,
to correct that. So, but I think you said at the beginning. I don't think the others talked about it. About like if 317 is not the best patch we had, think about another patch we had. And I think I thought about it a little.
Yes.
And of course, as a PvPer, I could always say, 2.63.
Yeah,
that was
2.6.
But it's not, right? AC maybe, yeah. But the PU, I think the only thing we had was a Tessa Bannister or something, the ICC missions, right? even though I want her back, best mission giver in the whole game.
True.
I think that's only content we had in Pew, right? So I don't think you can even compare the patches.
No.
We have a lot like different systems now and everything, and I think we're going in the right direction, even for combat. But if it would be another patch, it has to be a 3.0 plus patch, because that's when we got the planets, I think, right? That was like the big milestone. I think we got Hurston or something with that. But maybe like a 3.10 before the desync started. I think that was a good patch. But after that, it just got worse and worse. I personally like the one we got, the what's it called? The alien ship, the alien fighter.
The Banu Defender?
No, the bird one.
Jian Scout?
No, the one with the wings. What's the one called? The one that shoots like the cockpit out. the Prowler brother. No, the brother of the Prowler or sister, whatever.
The Talon.
Yeah, thank you, Talon.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Sorry. Just because I liked the combat in that thing, because it was very fast paced. Mm-hmm. And before it was very slow, so the Talon really changed something. But the weapons were very memey during that time.
Yes.
But I did like that patch as well. But I think it may not be the best patch, but it's a patch, at least for a PvPer, worth coming back to. That's the kind of thinking I have with this patch.
Okay.
So,
and I look at it as it's not just good for you to come back. It's good for a lot of people. If it's not for the now, it's for the future. Like that again. That's what I've really been trying to look at. Like even look at they're talking a lot about reputation and how long-term reputation. So as you're building rep with the Ninetales, well, Crusader Security is not going to like you very much. So you may not be able to go and land at these places. And then with that comes that logistics. Like, hey, Panda, you want the best quantum drives or the best weapons or the best coolers. Well, guess what? They also not physicalized, but they inventoryalized your components.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So then I can buy the components
them.
and sell them to you, kind of thing, right?
But I don't think you can sell them to me, right? Because you cannot drop them.
You can.
Can you? I mean, I tried dropping like weapons and stuff. It didn't work.
You self-destruct your ship, and then you tractor beam the box that the ship makes into your ship, and then you move the inventories between each other. It's the memeiest workaround, but it's a thing.
That's such a Star Citizen thing.
Yeah, it's like ridiculous, but you could do it.
Yeah. No, one thing I like is that we're going more in a gameplay direction with the systems we have. Mm-hmm. I think the looting is like the best example for it. That before, looting was more of a gimmick thing, right? You go there, but you don't really get anything. You get like fruits, maybe a weapon, but you can just buy the weapon, and the weapon prices are like they cost like 2,000 UEC.
Yeah.
So it's not really worth looting. But right now, we're going more in a direction where we actually want to use the systems instead of the systems just being there. Yes. I think that's a good change. And
Absolutely.
I think we've seen that lately more and more with the patches.
100%.
That we actually get gameplay instead of, oh, look at this new system that you will only use for the first day and try it out, and then not appear in the patch again for the next 3 months. So,
yeah.
But I think that's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
I feel like I'm always just talking a lot in here.
Well, I mean, that's what it's a podcast, man. That's what you do. Nobody yapped. Everybody yapped Johnny Morgan. Nobody yapped you, so you're good.
Okay,
you're fine.
Perfect. I'm always a little worried, that I talk too much, but
no, I mean that's the point of the thing, is to talk a lot. So that's good. You're doing just fine. Perfect. All right, Panda, be good, buddy.
But thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, anytime.
It was
it's always enjoyable. Yeah, what we were testing the other day, it was fun talking to you, and it was fun again today. So I hope we can do it again some more.
But CIG should really add back the conga line of the Starfarers, I'm very disappointed that we cannot do that.
Oh my god. Okay, so me and Panda, we connected we had a Starfarer refuel another Starfarer, but that Starfarer, the second Starfarer, can't refuel a third. Because once the ship's connected to another, it's not like a ship anymore.
I did read that
it was
maybe
sad.
during Evocade, that worked, and it was very buggy, and you could like do some really bad velocity stuff.
Oh, okay. So they maybe removed it. Sad, dude.
Yeah, but yeah, I think they removed it because there was some bad stuff going on.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, one day we will have our Starfarer Centipede
ships, okay?
Yeah.
Look,
we'll have a
man, Space Dads can conga line. I want a conga line, okay? So
fair.
Just with ships this time.
All right, Panda, be good.
Yeah, bye.
Bye. All right, our next caller and our final caller, Juan Bones. Hello, Juan.
Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
11:30 p.m.
So, you are the last caller, and we've gone through a lot of things. I assume a lot of things that people have said are some of the same things that you have said, but it doesn't matter. How do you feel about 3.17? Am I crazy? Is there a better patch to you? And what are some of the highlights or the low sides of it?
Well, first off, we have to talk about the most important feature of 3.17, Rivertech. We're going to take so many screenshots, going to post them on Reddit, farm those upvotes.
Of course. I haven't even looked for it.
But more importantly, don't even bother. It's one river. It takes like 2 minutes to fly across it.
Okay.
I'm sure it'd be cool in Pyro, but it's not worth looking at unless you're a screenshot guy. But I think the core of 3.17 compared to other patches is that it's a context patch, not a content patch. So all of the things that we're getting in 3.17 are providing context to features that already exist.
Yes.
So like mining gadgets is adding a new way to mine, which isn't relevant because the rock generation's not that good. But if we get larger rocks in the future, that will enable a prospector to then mine that larger rock that would otherwise be out of range. So not useful now, but you can see where they're going with it.
Mm-hmm.
With refueling, I mean, we can already refuel now, and I think the Starfarer refueling, like it's too niche right now. We really need Pyro for the Starfarer to have its role, but the quantum integration on the pad refueling, like the repair, refuel, rearm costs, I think that's going to be the big one.
And the UI,
if
just
they can get
the
that
UI
working.
improvement was pretty good as well.
Yeah, UI is a big one. If I can stand on my soapbox about the roadmap for a short time, I don't care that it's a short-term roadmap, but please just put all of the important things in the patch on the actual roadmap. Because they left out loot generation, because they're doing a loot generation update. They left that out. They left out the quantum bit. That's not on the roadmap. And then the weapon update, they're updating the recoil patterns on weapons and animations. It's not on there. So
Is it
I think
in the
we're missing
progress
out on a
tracker
lot of
or
context for it. On the release view. It's probably on the progress tracker, but it's not on the release view. They might update it later.
I don't know. They just never... They're definitely going away from the release view thing, and they want us all to look at the progress tracker all the time, which is, there's so many things, it's so hard to read, and I'm assuming I'm very much like you. I don't look at the progress tracker. I don't care. I don't care about Star Citizen's
the progress
development.
tracker doesn't tell you what's happening in the next patch, does it?
No.
Like, it tells you what they're working on, but the release view is what's in the next patch. And if we're not being told the actual stuff in the next patch, like the loot generation and the weapon update, I think that's so huge for that bunker gameplay for the first-person shooter stuff.
Yep.
That the selling is sort of, it's less important, I think.
Okay.
Because of the actual experience of going into the bunkers and shooting those really crappy AI, if that experience is better, like, the selling's the icing on the cake, but the meat of it is the actual shooting part. And if that's more enjoyable, that's more important.
Yeah. I think that selling's probably more important to some other people, possibly, but I can't disagree with you at all. Like, it's the you just want to see what's being added to the patch as easily as possible so you can go in and check it out. And then it's the easiest way to provide feedback if you understand the intentions of everything and what their plans are and what they want it to be like. And then you could let them know, yeah, this one hit, this is awesome, or this one didn't, and this is why it wasn't fun. And I think it's hard to do that when you have to find these ninja changes to things that are actually really important.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they do this in every patch. Like they add a lot more than is actually in the release view. Every single patch, there's way more going on under the hood. And of course, they're not going to put like bug fixes on the release view, but like a lot of quality of life things like UI updates, they don't talk about that.
No.
So they mention ship-to-ship refueling, but they don't say, hey, we've overhauled the UI for all of the refueling interface.
Yeah.
And that's really important because it's so much more usable now.
And they say it in other places, though. Like, they say it, like, that's the one thing about CIG communication, and it gets really hard. And we should probably swap from this topic in a few minutes, like in a minute or so, is they'll talk about it here, they'll talk about it over there, and then they'll talk about some other stuff over here. So it's like everything is in their own little bubble, and if you're not following everything or following a YouTuber that like puts it all together for you, it's very difficult to follow this project and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it's really hard to wrap your head around. Being a bit more on topic, I think the selling this patch, even though just the ability to sell is really, really good, I think it's going to be a bit of a miss this patch. Because what are we selling? We're selling weapons, helmets, all of that. Like,
it doesn't matter.
It's not big stuff.
No, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you can. And then like, this is like the whole thing about looting, inventory, everything that came in 3.15 was it didn't matter then either. But what mattered was that you could, and what matters is what they do with it after. So they went from the ability to loot to now the ability to sell that loot. And what's next? That's just how I keep looking at this right now, is like keep building on it until we get the experience that we have in other games that we love and why we love them. And I understand it's just going to take a little time to get there. Just keep moving in the right direction and I'm happy.
Yeah, I agree. I think it takes probably 2 patches for all of their features to get realized.
Yeah. And then they're working on those six months before that usually. So it's like a year, basically, every time.
Yeah, like 3.15, really, really important patch. I think 3.15 is the best patch ever because it had a lot of content, it improved the game, and it was stable. So it was a really good experience for old players and new players to come in. Whereas 3.17, I think it's more obscure. It's more obscure stuff. Like if you're a new player, you don't have a staff error, so it just doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
But you could do the bunkers.
Or you could take screenshots of the river.
True. Of course. But here's what I'll say. I don't agree that 3.15 was the best patch just because it didn't crash. There were so many instability issues, and more importantly, this major desync problem, like medical and looting and all those things, you can never do it, right? You kill a bounty and their body disappears and all their inventory goes with them to prison. Like their punishment should have been, I get your armor and your weapons and your loot, like all that stuff. There were so many stupid problems with it. And I hope that if this patch is more stable, all the fun that I was hoping to have in 3.15, I'm going to be able to actually have in 3.17. Probably not. I don't see the stability improving to 3.15, 3.16 standards. But hopefully it does get better.
Yeah, I think the stability is not going to get to that point, but some of the major things like the game just crashing like for no reason, like that stuff that we haven't had really for a year where the game just stops working. Like usually it's things in the game stop functioning rather than the game crashes.
Yeah.
But I think most of that's going to be gone. We'll have to see when we get to live what the desync is like. I'd imagine it's better. But again, it's so hard to tell because live's such a different environment.
Yeah. PTU people are like, yo, this is looking good. And then they push it to live and everyone's like, what happened? It happens every time.
It's a catastrophe.
Yeah. So we'll see. That live push is going to be the big one.
No one has mentioned the coffee shop vendors.
Because
no one has mentioned it. It was the meme. It was the meme feature. No one cares.
Well, I think it was
Not
the
even
meme
as a
feature.
joke. Like, no one cares.
Listen, it was the meme feature until Todd Pappy said exactly what it was about, and then everyone was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." At least that's how I was. When Todd Pappy went, by the way, guys, the coffee vendor was just a new employee's job to do to get integrated in with his team and with the engine. And it was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I was like, why would I ever make fun of this then? Go for it. Coffee vendor all day, you know?
Yeah, well, I think it's actually a good update having the coffee vendor there, because if you've just landed at Area 18, your thirst level is probably down. That's another thing they forgot to mention in the roadmap is the
Changes to thirst and
persistent
food.
health. Yeah, and thirst. So when you land, now you've got this guy selling coffee, and that's actually useful. So it is a good update.
Yeah. Like, man, for such a huge company that has like 400 community managers, it is very funny that you see, like, I don't know, man. New World, it's not a good game. It's actually quite bad. But I've just been following it, so this is the example that I'm going to use. I've been following it more recently. They just post something on their forum, and then they post that post on their social media. It's one thing to follow about what is happening. I don't have to go to 30 different places to realize, okay, well, they showed all these ninja changes on ISC, but they didn't put them in the, it's just like, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I'm just hoping when it gets to live, I'll be able to experience like most of the stuff, like mining. Haven't even been able to touch it. I'm stuck on Hurston. I can't get off. The game crashes.
Yeah,
I'm stuck.
Yeah. Yep.
Just like the citizens in Hurston. Bit of role playing.
Yeah, exactly. So it just comes down to you expect the stability to get better. Hopefully, it's better enough to play the game, and then I think if you don't enjoy the patch, you'll at the very least be able to see that they're moving in a direction that, okay, I will be able to see that they're moving in a direction. I can't speak for anyone else. Sometimes I do that by accident, and I'm happy with the direction that it's going in. It feels like that Space Daisy, Space Tarkov kind of feel with other elements that are more like PvE and economy stuff, that if you don't want a PvP, you don't have to, but if you do, you can, and it's not that bad, and there's rewards and all sorts of stuff, and hopefully Reputation keeps growing and growing and growing and improving and improving and improving, and that's just how I'm looking at it now, is at the very least you could see the direction where I never knew what direction we were going in 2 years ago, and I was just constantly pulling my hair out about these guys.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing as well. So I followed the game sort of like 2012 when the Kickstarter came out, but I didn't back until 2020 just because I wasn't convinced on it. But the direction has been positive, so I am convinced. So I think we're definitely heading in the right direction. And coming from a game like RuneScape, that's my background, different to most people, but my God, the lack of direction there. They killed the game like 3 times. It revived, and then they killed it again. Like, what the hell's going on there? No one knew what was going on. It was a mess. And I don't want a mess. I want one game which can just keep going in the right direction. And I think that's what 3.17 is. It's maybe not as much as we hope. Maybe it's not as stable as we want. But it is, like you said, it's the right direction, and we know where it's going.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Juan, do you have any other things that you got on your list to talk about, or anything that comes to mind? Because this feels like a decent stopping point, but I don't want to cut you off if you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, no, we can stop here.
Okay, cool. And it is pretty late for you guys. People were like, is he from Australia? Yes. Well, maybe. New Zealand, Australia? I'm not very good at getting the accents.
One of them civilized, the other's lots of sheep.
Okay, gotcha. All right, man. Juan, I think
Mike.
first time calling, right?
Yep.
It was very good. I appreciate it, and I hope to talk to you again. I enjoyed our conversation, man.
See you later, brother.
Later, man. Good. All right, guys. That'll do it. And answer the call in the books. with actual callers and ridiculous topic. I do feel like I am a little crazy. I feel like I keep seeing the comments like, oh, he's sweet Mike now and all these things. And it's like, no, I'm just Mike. And I'm happy with the direction of the game for the first time in the last 9 months, 315, 316, 317, than I've ever been. Because for the last 5 years, it's just been like, what are you doing? Why can't I loot things? Why can't I play a video game? Why is everything about the planets looking pretty? Now, it's not about all those things. So obviously my attitude is going to change if the things I've been yelling about are actually happening, guys. Like, just use your brains here. It's really simple. We're actually getting the things that I would like, so I'm less angry. Holy crap. What a novel concept, right? I think we're getting foundational patch after foundational patch after foundational patch. Hopefully those foundations are going to start talking to each other, and hopefully those features are going to start talking to each other, and we get a more and more and more connected game. And then we just have to hope and pray that one day we can play an MMO. Because whatever this 50 server garbage is exactly that. It's just straight burning trash. It's not what we're all here for. We're here for something great. And all these little things, all these little elements adding on, whenever and or if ever that is able to happen, fingers crossed, server meshing isn't a disaster, the possibilities become really, really exciting. And that's it. We just gotta hope and I have more hope than I've had before because I feel like the current experience is improving in the way that I would have liked to see it. But I'm assuming some people don't feel the same way as me. And yeah, let me know if you're one of those people. I was hoping to hear one of those people on the show today, but nobody, I don't know. Nobody, I would love to argue with people, man. I would love to, but like in a civil way. I would love to argue with people and completely disagree with them and even maybe get like a little bit heated about stuff within respect of each other. Because I know there's people that disagree with me, but yeah, we'll have to see. But anyway, guys, that's it for Answer the Call. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this on Twitch and you didn't catch the whole thing, it's going to be on YouTube later today. If you're watching on YouTube and you'd like to take part, around 10 a.m. next week I already have the guests lined up. If you guys are on YouTube, you might be familiar with him. Grumpy Eye is going to be coming on the show. He's one of the first videos that I've watched on my second channel when we started doing reactions on the second channel, and there was a lot of his fans hating on me and my fans not really hating on him. Everybody loved him. I thought he was fine. I was just like not agreeing with his opinions entirely, and yeah, we had a lot of DMs back and forth, and we're gonna have him on the show. It should be pretty fun. So that'll be next week's show starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time because I have some family thing that I have to do. And yeah, so usually 10 a.m. Leave a like, comment, all that stuff if you're on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you next week.